All right, Town Council Work Session, September 4th, 2025. We'll have a call to order again, please. Roll call.
Newman present.
Holloway present.
Buckholz present.
Buda present.
Grossman present.
Ashworth present.
Let me know we've established a quorum again. And tonight's discussion is going to be the beachfront master plan. Welcome.
Good evening, council. Good to see y'all. Hopefully everybody has a good summer. For those who don't know, Ricky Wyatt with VHB. So excited to be back over. Come over a couple days this summer, not for the beach, but for other projects.
Can I interrupt for just a second?
Yes, I was just going to say.
You need a microphone, but we can't see either. I can't really see either screen.
I had to switch for another session.
I need this.
You need
Yeah, I
rotate
probably
one of
can't
these.
reach them, so.
But when the plans,
Just
I
barely.
have hard copies.
Well, we want the public to see too.
Yeah,
But,
Not
yeah.
that far.
Okay, just to.
Can you see it? Yeah, but go that way. I'm looking at this one. Can you still see it? Okay. You guys keep going. Keep going. Can you guys see it? Keep going. Keep going. Go, go. A little more. That's fine.
Thank you, Adam.
Too much, you gotta bring it back a little.
That one, it's all the
There
way
you
over.
go, good.
I can see that.
Okay.
it's on.
Can you see that one?
Think.
Are they both the same?
Testing.
Yes,
Hello?
they're both the same. Makes two of us.
Can y'all, does this work? Do I need to pull it closer?
No, it's just for Facebook, so you're fine.
Okay. So again, as Rick mentioned, we're here, or the agenda is to talk about the beachfront master plan. I do want to cover a lot of different topics before we get into the plan, because I know that's probably where we'll spend most of the time. I do want to thank Mr. Grossman for his parking count on that he provided over the summer. I can pull that up so the public knows what that was. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger. I don't know if I can make it, but I'll just read it. Mr. Grossman looked at, this was back basically Memorial Day weekend.
Right.
And you did a count, 40 golf carts on the east side of Bay Avenue, 54 on the west side, for a total of 94 parking spots. And they did congregate mostly around the entrances where the openings were in the dunes, which makes sense because that's the shortest walking spot. And at that time, you estimated about 95% of the parking being used.
Right.
I was here, I think it was a Thursday midday, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous day, and took some photos, and it was about a 50-50 split, but the golf carts were definitely right where we talked about at the entrances. That day, it was a weekday, not a holiday weekend. Most of the parking was on the west side of Bay Avenue.
What time in the summer? What month?
In August, it was actually the last day of July. I believe it was actually July 31st, maybe, when I came over and met with you, Rick. Something like that. So, towards I said that's the prime of the summer, I think, really. I'm happy to share I could pull some of those photos up, but so that. I just start with some of that is, I explained to Rick the timing of this. Master plans take time, and our initial schedule was probably a little too aggressive because it takes time, takes a lot of input. We've gone through multiple rounds now, public input. It takes time in revising and letting it also kind of sink in and let you see how, how it works through the four seasons. I mean, as we know, we're not what it looks like in the summertime is not what it's going to look like in the winter. And so, if you recall, last summer we were in the heart of in the spring we had done the community survey, asking what everybody wanted, And then in June, we were having committee meetings pretty regularly. We were doing virtual and in person, working on the design. And then in August, we kind of rolled out the first look of it. And so the public, I don't think, or the council members had a chance to kind of take the design and then sit back and like, what would this look like in a busy summer day? And so I think that's where we benefited from going into the fall, making the changes we made, and then back in March when we did the second round of community engagement, we made the changes we talked about. A major one was the parking configurations. And so that's where we are today. I mean, even then, I have a plan I'll pull up. We took the original plan, or the plan, and just kind of even revised it again based on the comments we heard in March. And so that's the plan we have today. But I will get to that, but before I do that, I do want to tell you the really good news. Hopefully you've heard that the RTA grant is back. And back in March, it was supposed to happen. John applied, and there was a little issue, technical issue, not here, but nationwide, and the government, and we also were just in a new administration in Washington was making changes to grants, and so we weren't sure whether it was going to move forward. So there was a lot of uncertainty. We've been staying in touch with the USDOT representatives all through the summer, getting updates. And so the program came back live in August. We attended the new webinar. They have changed the questions. They've reduced the application, simplified it even further. And so just as a reminder, it's on the screen, but RTA stands for Rural and Tribal Assistance Pilot Program. I don't want to say sad, but the one thing is they did say this is, right now, the last year the program is funded. It would have to be renewed. But the good news is that they did double the amount of money that's available to localities. And so that new total is 54 million. It was 27 million. Of that, there's still a set aside for tribal organizations or groups. But that still leaves 34 million for rural, small communities such as Cape Charles. Another reminder, it is a first come, first serve. And so I've been working with Rick, and we're set up for Monday at 2 o'clock. Nobody call him, nobody stop in his office, because we will be applying for the grant at that time. I did take a couple snaps of during the webinar. Most of the groups that were attending the webinar were local government, almost 50%. Some of them were other, like myself, private consultant. But most of them, 75% of them are new to the program. This is going to be their first application, just like the town of Cape Charles. I thought that was interesting. And 61% of the applicants are planning to do road and bridge projects. So similar to what we're doing, a road infrastructure project. Even though this is called the Beachfront Master Plan, a major component of it is the seawall, the Bay Avenue, the walkway, the parking. All of that helps form the Beachfront Master Plan. So those were a couple takeaways from that. And just to remind you, the other thing, so previously they had a cap of $750,000 that you were allowed to ask for. We were estimating, it's very hard at this level to estimate your full project, but we had pulled together a number of about 15 million to build it all at one time, which would fall under the previously raised grant, now build grant, cap of 25 million that you're allowed to apply for. So if you recall, that this is the same program that the AMPDC got funding for the trail project. They received over 17 million at the AMPDC with that. So it's a great program that builds infrastructure projects like this. So what will come out of the RTA grant is the ability to do the full engineering and full environmental permitting. So now that there's no longer the cap, previously we were only going to be able to go to a certain point, but now they've increased the allowable ask to $2.5 million per application. So we can design it. It can still be built in phases as the town wants, but you can have a full engineered plan, detailed out all the way down to the fixtures in the restroom, the granite. So, but really, I mean, in all seriousness, now that they've increased the limit from 750 to 2.5 million, you can do full architectural plans for both restrooms, for your pavilions, and whether you build it all now, this grant will pay for the full design, and it will also pay for extensive amount of new public engagement as you're finalizing those details, as we're picking pavement colors and plant materials and all those little things. That's what this grant does. In addition, this grant, like I said, does the environmental permitting, which we know will be part of the questions on the dune, and anything we do on the dune and beach side will require the environmental permitting. And when you receive federal funding, you have to go through the NEPA process, which is the National Environmental Protection Agency. It's a federal environmental permit. And so this grant will allow us to go all the way through all of that. So it's exciting that they revised the limits on that so that we can do this all the way through.
Typically, how long are those permits good for? So if we obtain permits now but can't do construction for a while, would they still be good?
They would be good for a period, and they can be renewed. And so that period could be, sometimes it varies on type of permits. Sometimes it can be 5 years, sometimes it can be 7, and then renewed again for another 5 years. I know Jamestown was one, for example, when we did Jamestown Island. So the NEPA, and I'm not a NEPA expert, we have other folks smarter than me, but there are what's called categorical exclusions, a CE, which is basically just not a lot of issues. And then there's environmental assessment, so it goes another further, and then there's a full EIS, which turns into like a novel. That's what Jamestown was, because of the historical and the environmental sensitivity of the island. You would not be to that level on your type of permit, so it still takes a while. The NEPA process takes a while. I mean, it's about a year process. So, and we'll get into all of that if we get awarded the grant. We'll outline a schedule, but it is a lengthy process. And you were talking about you really don't want to wait on this to do some of your maintenance, because none of this. I mean, when you're asking for this type of money, it's a slow process. You get awarded the money, and then to start the NEPA process, we have to have 30% design documents. And so we have to come out, survey everything, do our geotechnical investigations, do our all of our environmental surveys, topographic surveys. Then we go to fully AutoCAD, designing all the detail, doing the grading, the cross sections that Mr. Grossman's eager to get to. And then at that 30% level, you start the NEPA process, and that takes about 12 months from that time to get that permit in hand. In the meantime, you're still doing more engagement, more design, and so it catches up, but that does take time there. So once you're probably looking about 18 months to have a project ready to bid to a contractor from the time you get an award.
So once we do get that award, though, back to her question, how long do we have to use that money going forward? So if permits need to change,
Yeah.
different permits, how many years does that money
So the
become
clock
available?
would start when you finish that permit. So like I said, about 18 months from now, your clock would start.
Okay.
And, well, really, so I was gonna, I was gonna save it for the end, but, the good news is they will notify us by November of award of this grant, which that's really fast as far as federal government goes. So we will know, by, I think it's, November 28th is the date that they said the awards were made by.
It's a
So,
Thanksgiving gift.
yes, the Thanksgiving gift.
So with this being first comes, first served, with the age of AI coming into it the way it is,
You're the
when
second
you're,
per-
I'm just being serious. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like with tickets and everything else
I know.
now. The minute they go for sale, if you got an AI bot that can buy tickets, you could buy out a concert. So if there's other municipalities that have that technology and we don't, should we be there before, I mean, we're not gonna be there before Tuesday, but
Yeah.
Are we supposed to
just-
camp out? Where do we need to camp out?
No, I mean,
it's a real question.
It is a real
Yes.
question. I will say that the applicants that are applying are all rural, small communities. I will tell you, we're not assisting the town of West Point, but they are applying for one. They don't have AI helping them.
Okay.
I can tell you, and then town of Duck, we are helping them, and they don't have, I mean, they're a staff of 10 people, I mean, similar to y'all. So, I mean, this is rural, but it is a good, I mean, somebody asked me today at the office the same question. Is AI can AI do it faster? It's 12 questions.
Right.
Of the 12 questions, 9 of them are your name, your address, what grant it's 3 questions that are really the meat, and they're 500 words. And so the way we've set it up to assist the town was we've already written the answers in a Word document, and you literally copy and paste it
Copy and paste.
right in there. Even with the snafu last time, I think John was able to do it in like 12 minutes with the delays.
Do we need to do a
Can
you do
practice
11?
session like
Yeah,
it's
11.
ready?
I'm ready.
We need to cut that down to 12 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
So,
Alt tab is your friend.
I mean, I remember, yeah, it is a good question.
Because at 2.5 million, we're talking 10 people are gonna get awarded to it because the
Yeah.
tribals are getting the other 20,
Yeah.
correct?
So, I can tell you, not everybody's asking for 2.5 million. The ones I already know, and the previous ones looking. The other thing is that there's a cap, per state is 20%. So, no one state can get more than 6.8 million.
So if we ask for 2.5 or whatever the max is,
Yeah.
and we get in as one of the ones, but there's not 2.5 left, would we get whatever's left on that? So if there's only 1.2 left, would we get the 1.2? Or no, it goes to the next person that asked for 1.2?
I can ask that question. That didn't actually get asked in the webinar. I personally don't think that a state is going to max out either. That, I mean, I don't know. It could.
You know where I'm going with
No,
it.
I do. I think we as a company have a pretty good handle on a lot of the rural towns that are. I mean, other towns that we work with talked about it, but none of them. So right now, I know it's you in West Point in Virginia.
Are all of us opportunity zones as rural towns, and does that matter? I know it does
doesn't
in
matter anymore.
DHCD.
So, yeah,
Doesn't
that
matter.
doesn't matter. It's purely population based. So let's have faith that we can get it in quickly. It is
I have faith.
weird that it's not a merit based
Yes.
grant. It's the only one I've ever been a part of that's like this.
I'm just glad there's not much pressure.
I mean,
I'll be sitting in your office.
I mean, when we got it back in March, when we got it done, it felt good, and then it was awful when we found out like 2 days later that they had the issues and decided to pull it. But second time's a charm. We'll get it. Not the third time. So. So I did. I mean, again, I already kind of hit on this, but the previous projects were just like what we're doing: new road alignments, roadway safety improvements, pedestrian pathway lighting, trail connections. So it's everything that this project is. So we're aligned right now with the right grant. So these are just some more of the numbers.
And I'm sure what you all have done in preparation, just like you do with any grant, just kind of like if you're applying for a job for the federal government, it's keywords.
Yes.
You're using those words in your cut and paste.
Absolutely. Yes. We've
I've
had,
played that game before, I know that one.
yes, absolutely. So, so any other questions on the grant? Like I said, that's on Monday, and I'm sure Rick will notify y'all immediately, or y'all can sit outside of his office at 2:15 p.m.
I prefer if everyone just gathers around my desk and tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I'm sure the internet's up.
Yes, that's,
I was gonna say, make sure nobody else is on the internet.
I think everybody else, the staff should have a break from 2 to 2:30.
Lunch is at 2 o'clock on Monday.
So, before I go in, it's been a little bit of time, I want to zoom in and kind of just remind everybody where we are. And this is literally the markup that we did after the last public engagement meeting, just so y'all remember, everybody remembers. And then I'll hand out some printouts that you're looking at, and I'll, like I said, make this much bigger. So, again, this was the early plan. We had enlarged plazas at every entrance. The parking facing the east side, head-end parking towards the homes, all of that's been removed. We had a much larger plazas all the way down. We overdeveloped the south end down there. Just we showed it all so we can just take it away and just scale it back. But no. We intentionally, the next iteration that was shown in May was not as much like finished looking. It was just straight plot from our drafting program, and then all these red lines. And I did this just again so we would have a record of, this is what we talked about. I mean, this was fresh right after the meeting. One of the big things that came out of it was the realigning. We had the idea that when you're coming down the road, it'd be nice to look straight out at the ocean, or I'm sorry, the bay. But with the wind and the movement of the sand, we decided we really needed to tighten up the openings, angle those, and so that was a major consideration. Reduced the plaza with the bathhouse down here, took out the areas that we had shown in planting, more maintenance, and instead just turned it back natural with sand. Added additional golf cart parking, more golf cart parking on each block. So you can start to see the markups that we did down. You'll see this, I never built it all the way out. One of the things that you'll see in the final plan, previously, if you recall, these intersections are what are called speed tables, but they're raised. And it slows traffic down, but it also means the pedestrians, when they're walking across, don't go down and then come back up. It is level for them. We didn't have it shown exactly the way it really needed to be, because you don't want the cars to hit that at an angle. And so you'll see in a minute the final plan, we've squared those off. The walkways are still at an angle, because I think we struggle with this, and this still may be this is when you're getting into fine details for final design. It could be that these walkways turn perpendicular and go straight across the road, but your side streets are all on an angle. So right now we've continued all your sidewalks at an angle. That's there's a little details that have to get worked out, but we did change the speed table so that the cars aren't hitting it at a skew that you're hitting going up. So that's a subtle change there. One of the big things, and I'm going to probably, I know I'm going to start here and I'm going to hand out that handout. During the public comment period, we heard a lot about, we like the idea of the golf cart parking, but will it really work? And you asked, has it been done elsewhere? And we were like, well, no, this is something We wanted to try, we thought it was a good idea. Not all good ideas pan out. So we took those comments, and I'll show you here, but we have reached out to two of the main golf cart manufacturers, E-Z-Go and Club Car, and got all their specs on their carts. We built their carts in our modeling program, and I'll show you what it takes, what they can really turn. And so unfortunately, this idea has changed a bit.
Because they don't turn.
Because they don't turn quite that well. So it was a good thought, but we'll show you where we've come with that. So again, because back then we were talking about opening those drive aisles up to 15 feet so the cars had room to turn. And then we said instead of 6 cars here in this block, what about just 4 cars? And by the time we did all of that, we said, well, we're not adding more spots. You're just turning them sideways and making it harder to get in and out of. And so I will, again, transition over here as soon as I get down the other end and show you what we've come up with. The other things we've done down on this end is reduce the widths of these walkways down to 8 feet in spots, and instead of having lawn shown, it's all just natural sand instead of planted turf. So that's that. So for now, let's look at the golf carts, and just so you can have that. And there's extras if anybody. Again, it's on the screen, so.
We're gonna get a digital copy, so we
You'll
can
get
post
this,
it.
yes, sir.
So we
Yeah.
can post it with this meeting.
So I'm gonna zoom. The reason I'm doing it this way because there's a lot of information and it's easy. I didn't do a PowerPoint because I need to be able to zoom in and out. PowerPoint's kind of going away now. You're more interactive in our meetings. But so I'm going to start down here at the bottom. The sizes of the golf carts. So your traditional 4-seater, there's a good mixture between the 4 and the 6 mainly. There are some villagers or whatever, those big long 8-seaters. There are a few of those, but that's not the majority. The majority are the 4 and the 6. I should have probably put feet in all of these, but for the math people out there, it's all in. So they're mostly about 4 feet wide. Some of them can get 4 foot 2 inches wide, 50 inches in width. So you'll see our parking spots that are 7 feet wide, and so that gives you about 18 inches on either side. And then if you add another, so you've got three feet between the carts, which is pretty good to maneuver getting bags and chairs and things out. The lengths of them, again, vary between 114 to 142 to the 157 inches. So you'll see that variation in what we're showing there.
What's the standard for in a car, the width? 3 feet clearance?
So a car is less than that.
Really? So?
I'm sorry. So a normal, like a Suburban is like 7 feet wide. So that's the bigger vehicle. So a lot of them are it's closer to 6. And so your parking spots, that's where your parking spots used to be 9. And a lot of parking spots are 10, and that's what we're showing now is 10 to give more room for the door swing and lugging. But the 9 is becoming more challenging because more cars, trucks particularly, are getting bigger. A standard spot for years was 9 by 18. Now a lot of places are going 10 by 20. And what we're showing is 10 by 22 right here. again, that's long, but one of the comments was if you're unloading stuff, you don't want to be standing out in Bay Avenue. We're changing the dynamics. I mean, the nice thing about Bay Avenue is we do have a lot of real estate. I mean, it's a huge road right now, a lot of wasted space, with the median down the middle and 2 wide lanes. And so the lanes are 12 foot wide, but when you park, you're going to have like a common car is going to have 5 feet behind the car before the travel lane. There's plenty of room to unload your beach chairs and things, and then the oversized trucks and Suburbans will still fit easily, even their tow hitches and all of that. The racks that a lot of them have. You see the tailgate racks and things for coolers. All of that will fit in a 22-foot space, much better than with that extra 4 feet that you're giving them there. So that's a little bit of overview there. So let me walk through what these turning. Sorry, again on screen here.
Hey, Ricky,
Yes, sir.
just so everybody knows, it's basically 9.5 feet for the 4, 11.9 for the 6-seater, 13 for the 8.
Sorry, you did the math for everybody. Thank you.
The reason I'm bringing that up is you got 12 in there. I mean, still an extra foot
So
in
I
there.
wanted to talk to y'all about that. So originally we had said, and that's what we only modeled 4 and 6. We said if the few 6 or 8-seaters and beyond would just park in a normal car parking spot.
Yep.
But we do have some excess space, so we can make all the golf carts bigger.
What are you doing with the area in front of the golf cart parking?
That's
lot?
what I wanted to talk to y'all about.
Okay,
'Cause-
sorry.
So
Go ahead.
this is new, and so it's we didn't want to design it all out because it is different than what we had talked about before. So I'll walk through this and then we'll talk about that. So you can see most of the issues with the 4 works, but we were still opening this up, the spacing to about 15 feet. The 4-person, if they're coming on the opposite lane, they have room to kind of come and go, but it's when they're circling, going south, and they want to come back and like U-turn into these spots where it's challenging. So the 4, but again, the 4 will work. It's tight, and it really isn't efficient. The 6 is where it really doesn't work. Like they can't utilize any of the first spots. They can't make that turn back and end up at one of these first spots right next to the travel lane. And even on the outside spot, well, all the spots, if a cart, just like in a regular, I mean, we have to think about regular, it's just like parking when you go to Walmart or Food Lot, where to a big parking lot. If somebody parks real close to the line, it's very challenging to swing your bumper in and park. And so the same thing here.
Go Food Line.
Yeah. It's challenging. So again, we did this modeling and we opened it up enough where it would work, but we just started thinking, if we open it up that much, it really doesn't make sense. So then we did go back to this design, what we're going to show in the full build out, where 7 by 12, but it does give us this extra space. It's 10 feet. You want to, it can be a chain. This is where the final design, detail design, it could just be a material change. It could be a spot we talked about, well, maybe instead of having the benches, which I don't really care for the benches facing this way, maybe we move the benches over there. If we decide we want to put some shade structures back, I know we talked like maybe down swings or anything, like something that it's a space where we can, or we can just leave it pavers, or we can break it up and have some pavers and some green space, like natural space. So, I mean, I don't know if the council has any comments or desires at this point.
I think a foot more would be fine. That way you accommodate all the golf carts.
I did think about that afterwards.
Because right now, we might only have 6 or 7 of them.
With the 8-seater?
Yeah.
Or the other thing is
They're-
not to waste space, because there's a lot of people that rent 2 golf carts, or the homes already have 2 golf carts. What if you had it to where they just pulled in
End to
back to
end.
back?
Yep.
That's what I was thinking.
That's true.
Yeah.
Have you built this out, like, to give us a count for?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, I will.
And I don't recall where we have bike racks, because that would be a
So-
space that would be good for bike.
That's where, I mean, so I need to go to the other plan here, but that's the first thing that came to my mind, is all these amenities that we were kind of gonna just put on the promenade.
Right,
You could push those into some of these bump outs off the main path, so they don't conflict with the bike, because one of the comments was, well, what happens, where do the bikes go versus pedestrians? I mean, it's plenty wide, but if we have these little areas that bump out, that is where we can put the trash cans, the bike racks, the benches.
right.
Yeah, I think you could still do it, plus also make the use of a double stack too.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're talking about 10 feet, we can shrink that down to 8 or 6 feet, and so then you could add 4 feet to the spots.
Easily 2 4-seaters.
Yeah, so that would be 16, and yeah, you could double them up, 2 4s.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's a great idea.
And the benches in those spots are great for parents, because they can kind of position the kids. You sit right here
Yeah.
while they're unloading, kind of, it's like a
As you're
holding
unloading.
pattern.
You could
Until I don't
also
have
use
kids,
it,
right? They wouldn't really listen, but it's an idea.
Assuming you stay.
Yeah,
you could use it, don't get mad at me, it's just an idea, for vendor space. Like, we've got a few vendors now that don't require power and generators, who sell coffee or ice, like, that are just down right at the opening, but they could be in those voids as well without,
Bump outs right here.
yeah.
I think that would be up to us, how we manage those.
Yeah, of course.
So why don't we, for the final document that gets approved, why don't we take one of these and show some bike racks, some benches, and just show what that kind of looks like as a whole.
But are you gonna make it deeper also?
So the golf, what I wrote down was 16 foot deep for the golf
16,
cart.
okay.
And that would leave us 6 feet for this refuge area,
That's
which
great.
would be a combination of things.
Because then the 8-seaters can get in there easily as well. They wouldn't have to take a car spot. They could still fit in those spots.
But my math, 9.5 and 9.5 and 19.
I'm sorry,
19 feet,
for 2 6-seaters?
9.5 feet.
Well, only 2, the 4-seaters can double up,
I'm
not the,
talking about the 4-seater, 9.5 feet. 114 inches, 9.5 feet. So that makes it 19 feet. Too. That's my math.
yeah, we hadn't thought about doubling it up. That's packing them in, but it's.
Well, it wouldn't have to be everywhere either.
No.
You could make some of
Yeah,
them
that's
that
right.
way and
It's a
others
couple.
not.
Exactly.
This is the, adds a little color to thing. So this starts to really, I could have handed both of these out because it's. What I really wanted to do is zoom in again, so we're back to where this has been done, proven, and this picture number 2 is really, gives you an idea of what scale, and now that is really just accommodating the four. But I think it would be attractive, I mean, Bay Avenue being traditional asphalt, you'd have the concrete gutter pan, and then your parking spots would be a paver and your stripes would essentially just be a different color of paver. And then if you can imagine that buffer area could have a little bit of green, but then benches and bike racks. And so I think that if you're comfortable with that, then we'll design just an area to give you, like, this is what that area could look like. Now, the other thing this does show, so the cross section is similar. I mean, really that has not changed. The main thing was just rotating the golf carts. You can see on the right here, this would be like a typical block where we could have the golf carts on the outside and putting vehicular spots in the middle. Vice versa, you'll see on the large drawing, we have a mixture of both. But I did want to point out, this is our parking count now. It's 204 versus, I think, like I said before, we were trying to be a little too aggressive with the golf carts. It's about, I mean, not quite a 50-50 split, but in the final design, either way, we can modify this. If we decide we need to take the golf carts to 140 and drop the car spots down to 80 or something, we can do that because they work in the same zones.
I'm not necessarily sold on the idea of extending the golf cart parking to make it deeper as I think about it. Because who's gonna be out there recommending to people double up?
Yeah.
But
What if
we
it's just
had
deep
that-
enough?
It's deep enough to do the, yeah, I think.
Or an
it would be
8-seater,
Deep
sorry.
enough to go to 8-seater, that would only add like 2 more feet.
Right, and then that still allows us to have that bump out area, which I really like the idea of bike racks there. Because, I mean, we're doing a rails to trails, you know, we're gonna have bikers coming. I think that would be more
Because that would still leave 8 feet.
efficient use of the space, and it would be utilized, as opposed to having to explain to people that you could double up. But I like the idea of going a little bit more. I mean, there's only 2 8-seaters I've ever seen, and they barely get down the road.
Oh my God, my road it must be the 8-seater crowd, because
Okay.
all day long.
Okay.
And they're not the
The
same
one with
ones,
the
but there are a lot of them.
Okay.
2 others.
Probably because bigger houses maybe on Tazewell, they load them in. And I saw a guy the other day, have to just side note for a second.
can still
First
do
time I've
both,
seen
though.
it, TV. The driver and the person beside him straddling a TV that they took to the beach and set up on the beach. My guest took a picture.
So that
TV.
proves, we were on a statewide trail call the other day, talking about all the state trails. And they said that was one of the fears. We don't want a bike trail in our backyard. This was when they were designing the Capitol Trail. They're gonna steal our TV. And then somebody said, you can't carry a TV on a bike.
Oh,
But-
yes, you can.
But apparently you can.
I saw it happen and I did one of those like
That's the
And-
e-bikes. You only need
on a golf cart. And then the next day, the guests came back and said, we found the TV and it's on the beach.
It's college football season.
Yes, that, it was,
That's what I
it
do.
And the
was.
solar generators are all.
So what
Yeah,
I'm saying, though,
that's
we
right.
would extend the golf cart by 2 feet, which would still leave us how much?
8 feet.
8 feet.
8.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's good.
That's plenty, yeah.
Okay.
What are the green circles on that? I'm just,
So that was something, can go away, but we have shown trees. I know we've gone back and forth on trees. I do think environmentally, they would help with stormwater and shade some of your
Yeah.
parking.
I was hoping it was a tree. I just
Without,
wasn't sure.
I'm tentative because we've said we don't want increased maintenance and we don't want to block views, but I think with the right, like, I would consider street trees appropriate here, but I was nervous when we
I
added them
gotcha.
because the last plan, like I said, was just a plain Jane. We just wanted to get people's feedback, but nobody ever really, we really didn't focus a lot on street trees,
If
so.
the dunes get lowered, a few trees will be all right.
What do you think it's Stumpy?
Just result in more stumps eventually.
Just remember your last conversation.
Yes.
Public Works maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, it depends on what tree, too. The right tree.
do, I mean, the leaves come down in the fall, I'm gonna have a yard full of them, so that's a main. If you plant the appropriate trees,
Yeah, that's-
you shouldn't be
yes.
doing a lot of pruning. But, I mean, if something like as they really mature, you may have to at one point hire an arborist to come down and do appropriate limbing, but that's not an annual thing by any means, that's much more.
I mean, the whole
spread out.
philosophy, and we have some tree folks here tonight, are right plant, right place. And you do your research and you know what it grows and what the maintenance is necessary for it.
So you'll probably end up just looking at the big TV, because I plan on zooming in, but this is just the full, it's a big street, so it's just hard to show in detail at this scale. But again, we'll give you the digital stuff so you can zoom in.
But it's, nothing else should be a surprise on here. That's why I started with the markup plan. You saw where we were, you've seen what we've already changed. So again, I'll start on the north end. As I mentioned, that the combination on how we did this can vary. You'll see on the east side, it's all parallel spots, as we mentioned. We did break up the spaces, and one of the reasons, if you recall, we did that is we didn't want to have a long run that would allow food trucks to park wherever they want. And so we never have more than 3 parallel spots. I shouldn't say never. Now, maybe 4, but I'm pretty sure it's 3. A lot of times it's just 2, which make it much harder for a food truck or a vendor to pull in. So that just allows you to control where they end up. If you want them, if you want for an event, you can block off one of the banks of 3, and a food truck can easily pull in and be there for that event. But we feel like that's a way. One, you're adding aesthetics with the street tree, and you're having a little bit of green, but it also is functional in that prevents that vendor from parking where you don't want them. Here, because this is an ADA access and a restroom, we did flank both sides with car parking, and so the golf carts are in the middle of these 2 blocks because we were thinking about the ADA access for this. I will say I'll explain, as I mentioned earlier, these lines. So if you were driving along the road here, when you got to this line right here, you would start to ramp up. And then from here all the way across, it's flush. And then when you get here, you ramp back down. And so that's why we had to square those up so you're not hitting those out of skew. Same thing when you're coming from Jefferson. When you're coming to this point, you ramp up, so you're all at one elevation. Again, they call it a speed table, but a tabled intersection. So the walkways are flush. There's no up and down on those.
And the handicap spaces, that's right, okay.
Yeah,
I
either
couldn't
side.
quite focus on
Yeah.
that, am I right?
Either side of the entrance. And the way we always design our handicap, not everybody does it, and it's more than the minimum. So a handicap spot is supposed to be, it depends on, they're supposed to be 10, and then if it's a van accessible, it's supposed to have a 5-foot drive aisle beside it. And then you can have another 10. But what happens is sometimes you have just changes at some point, and you want to add another handicap spot, or you want to move the handicap spot. Well, if you have a 5-foot and then all these other 10s, then you're kind of locked in. So the way we typically design parking lots in here is we just do every spot, and then the van accessible stripe spot, we also do 10, so that it can move. basically. If you ever decided you wanted to add another, it just gives you more flexibility. It's just practice, it's not, again, it's not a code or anything, it's beyond, it's more than code, really. But it just gives you flexibility. So, zoom in out here, Madison is just a simple opening. They are reduced down in width. This one is wider just because of the facility we've got there. But, yeah, just as you go down here, we flipped it with cars in the middle, golf carts on either side. Monroe's the same, same thing, golf carts. But we could, so for example, if, as I mentioned earlier, if we decide we really don't have the ratio quite right, here we could come in and do maybe 8 car spots right here in the middle.
I would say we should add some handicap accessible golf cart parking.
That's another new one for me.
You think I park in
We have
there?
one.
Yeah, Grant,
First,
Grant.
handicap, first one.
They could, but they've got a golf cart. Why do you have a full handicap?
It's just
space?
his ramp.
Because the size of that.
But do you have is there a
wider?
handicap tag for a
Yeah.
golf cart? They do?
Yeah, he's got the flag.
Okay.
So you can also park in a handicap spot with the cart.
Yes, but he
Yeah.
would be taking up a handicap.
It's a big cart.
It would be,
Handicap, it's bigger than
Is it a
one.
different dimension?
Yeah.
It's much bigger than a cart, because he's got the ramp and everything else on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would think they would use a car.
Car space.
Yeah, but it's a good thought. So a handicap doesn't necessarily mean, and everybody thinks about when handicap, or we call them handicap spots, but it's ADA, it's mobility challenge.
Mobility.
It doesn't necessarily mean that they can't walk, or sometimes it's visibility issues. So there's a lot of ways you can have that. So it's really the distance that you try to shorten.
Right.
So with that said, you could take one of your golf carts spots and mark it handicap if you want, and that person could still be in a regular golf cart, but have a handicap tag, and that just means they get the closest spot. But that would be a new one for us. I mean, again, it's not, you don't have to worry about the van accessible, but
With his new wheelchair, he doesn't matter where he parks, he can get to the beach no matter what.
yeah, that's
It's
good.
pretty awesome.
That's good. Yeah, well, actually,
Yeah.
when I was here in July, there was a gentleman that had gone out, it was on the south end, all the way down to the beach. I'm not sure how he got out there, but he was in a chair.
It was probably great. His has tracks.
No, this one didn't have track.
Oh, okay.
It was I was thinking how it made it through the sand. It's impressive. It was determined, but it would be nice to have that mat. But so where I was going, like for this, for example, we could take and just do the 8 car spots, and then you could add in 4 more golf carts on either side, so we could flip that ratio once we really decide what that ratio needs to be. When we got to Bay Avenue, we put all the golf carts closest to the pavilion, not the gazebo, right, the pavilion.
Pavilion.
But, so that, again, can be movable. This is new, we really started thinking about making sure that we made it easy. We were thinking, they would just drive over. We'd have like one section of the car parking would be a mountable curb, so the vendors would just drive through that to leave. But we started talking about what if they need to leave in the middle of the day, get out and around.
Absolutely.
And so what we've done is we've added in a ramp here that would allow them to come up.
Yeah.
And then they can still loop around, because this curve all through here would be a mountable curve. And that's not just for the vendors, but ambulance, EMS, anything that needs to get quickly out to the beach or out off the pavement, that would be a mountable curve is just a slope curve instead of a straight face curve. but in VDOT terms, it's a CG7, but it just is a slip curve. And we call them mountable curves. So you'll notice here on the plans, we did tone down, we took the pavements and all went to this sand color. Now it graphically makes it hard to, you got sand and sand, tan and sand, so it's doesn't pop off as much, but I think that was some of the concerns, and you'll see on this final drawing that I'm about to hand out, that those are things that happen through the final design, but graphically, we were probably showing them two brighter colors, but you've got time to figure out, I mean, I still see you could do some pavement, the movements in the pavement with some different patterns to make it interesting, so it's not just all plain concrete, but that's stuff that you can have a pavement committee that just thinks about pavement.
So somebody pulling a trailer can make that turn around? I mean, I see going in, that seems like a tight turn there.
This is still pretty wide, it's 24 feet because of that for fire EMS. And so that one is the full width, and then you can see we narrowed these down to 8. We're wider in front of the love sign. I didn't point that out, but this is still the love sign. And Peyton only put 3 trucks on here, but it will accommodate 5 food trucks there, or a combination if you had one. I did see some long trailers and trucks, but the idea is, I mean, y'all can, I mean, that's a policy thing. If you make them unhook the trailer, pull the vehicle, park the truck elsewhere, and you're pretty much saying you're here from 8 to 6 or what, like, you can't move the trailer from a certain time. I mean, that's a policy discussion with your vendors.
Yeah, I think we need to get much more involved going forward about, like, you literally should have to submit an application of what aesthetically you're gonna do, and that there are rules like that. And I would also say, going back to parking, that if we're giving up, I mean, I'm all for trees, but if we're giving up a lot of parking availability because of trying to avoid food trucks from parking in those areas, we can do that in other ways by just saying that that's just not allowed.
Oh, yeah.
Versus giving up real estate for just the sole purpose of preventing that.
Well, and some of it is that, some of it, you see, we're trying to, anybody that has a driveways, like, this is driveways, there's actually, and I don't know who decided who gets a driveway or what, I know there's alleys behind, but anywhere there's a driveway today still keeps their driveway. Moving forward, that's a whole nother can of worms, like, I mean, whether you allow new driveways out, but you can see a driveway here, so we've got green spots on either side. We did, so, like, one of the areas, because when we did the final count, I was surprised. I'm like, man, it feels like we're adding more parking than this. But when you start looking at it, a lot of it is in the intersections. Which does make the pedestrian movement a lot safer. That's where your adjustment's going to be, because if you go out there today, I mean, they're on top of each other right at the entrances, and so now those people are going to have to walk 20 extra feet or 30 extra feet, because we are showing that this speed table and you need room in the pedestrian zone, so you're making those intersections much safer for pedestrians, but you are pushing the carts a little further away from the openings. So when we looked at that parking count earlier, where we said there's 160 spots currently, that's literally parking all the way to the end of every block, which normally you would not, like, and most jurisdictions have a zone you're not allowed to park within a certain number of feet from an intersection.
What was your count again?
90s, the low 90s,
For both.
for
So
both sides, yeah.
it was, counting 94 golf carts total. And at that time, like I said, he was saying about 95%, you didn't count cars. You just looked at the golf carts, but you did say that
Yeah, it was packed.
it was 95% full.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean, but did you count any of the side streets or no?
They just around the corner, I would catch a few
Golf carts.
golf carts.
And a lot of those people are probably already parking perpendicular or at an angle. The golf carts, especially in the summer, kind of
And
already
it
do
was
that.
surprising, like some of them, they're, it's a wild, wild west
Yeah,
out there. Some of them are at an angle, some of them are head on, some of them are sideways.
People don't know what to do.
They don't.
Just by organizing it, it's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I fully believe that if you had bike racks, I feel like so many people would bike to the beach if they felt like there was anywhere to put a bike
'em.
once you got there.
Yep.
What did you say again, Ricky, about the trees? What positive benefit beyond aesthetics?
So there's a lot, I mean, I can send you a research document from somebody from that other university in Virginia.
The real university.
The university?
Yeah.
Or the original?
The original, yes. That did a study for Hampton, looked at tree canopy coverage, and it's really, I talked with her at a conference this summer, and heat island effect, I mean, it cools the pavement, so that's an environmental benefit. But they also, there's mature trees, the number of gallons of water that they soak up, so they reduce, so there are stormwater benefit. So environmentally, those are the two main things, the shade, the heat island effect, and the water consumption. But then aesthetic air quality, they obviously clean the air. And then there is some people think they're aesthetically pleasing.
I do. I think it looks.
I don't
great.
like their leaves when I gotta rake them for, I have massive oak trees in my,
Yeah, we wouldn't be putting a magnolia tree down there. 'cause-
No, no.
yeah.
Who's down there, though? There's gonna be plenty of wind, there's gonna be no need to break up the leaves, they'll be,
yeah, and
they'll be on the
so,
beach.
I mean, I think it breaks up the sort of
Concrete
jungle
look.
that
Yeah.
you're starting to have. I think it looks really pretty with, I mean, really pretty being a relative term, but I think that looks lovely with that many trees.
Beautiful job.
Yes.
well, and I heard the word crepe myrtle. Here, well, crepe myrtles have their place. My one concern with trees would be, I mean, this whole, not the whole bit, but one of the main concerns that people want to see the sunset again. They want to see, that one of the reasons we're reducing the dune is keep it more manageable. And crepe myrtles, all those houses, if you're sitting on your porch, you're gonna see the tops, you'll be looking right in the top of a crepe myrtle. Where if you planted an oak or a zelkova or something, a more appropriate street tree, you're going to be looking underneath of the branches. The tree will grow up and you'll look under at the sunset. So,
I'll throw out an example. With Central Park, they added a bunch of trees last year, and it changed our view from our back deck. We can't see the gazebo anymore, but it's okay. We got over it quickly. We had a little moment. We're like, and then I was like, no, they are in the swale area where it absorbs the water. It's important, there's just a give and take of that. We can still hear the beautiful music. We can, you know what I mean? But that's part of just how things adapt too. We may not need this many.
Yeah, I don't see
You
the
know,
people on the beach
so.
wanting trees in their front yard. They block the
Well, we don't have to do those, but on the other side, yeah.
I know,
100%.
it wasn't,
So if they get
it
back
wasn't blocked,
90%.
I know, but it wasn't blocked when I first moved here.
Well, you're absolutely right.
I mean, I was hesitant because,
Saying that's gonna be-
and I think I can pull it up in the original, poll that we did. Additional trees was one of the polling questions, and it did not receive an overwhelming response of, like, we gotta add more trees. So that's why we haven't, yeah. But I think
I think there's a balance. So these are the updated renderings. We've been through a lot of this. A lot of it is just the changing material, going away from the red brick everywhere. We are still showing there, and in the middle you can catch a glimpse of the speed table. It doesn't have to be red, but it could be like more of a burnt maroon type of color. But it is advisable to have a change in color because it's visible, makes it for the motorists. But as far as the pavers in some of these plazas, we really talk about gray or tan or clay colors to tone those down, really simplifying them. We did add some dimensions on here. I do think it, I don't know if I would recommend like the final document having dimensions all over them, but you can see, I'm zooming in on the screen if you want, but the 75, just to kind of give you a scale, that was a comment people want. The 3D renderings are kind of hard sometimes to understand how big the scale is. There are some dimensions, and we did keep some seat walls around the pavilion, but it took away a lot of the detail, heavy planting. The only place that we are still showing that is here at this drop-off zone. And we do still kind of feel strongly that at this area, having some low, so you still see the love sign, but as I mentioned before, that this planter provides that added security of a car that's coming down Mason Avenue or something and decided wanted to go into the plaza. This would be a deterrent and stop the car there. So you can again see the narrowing, but still got the teardrop leaf shade structure.
Now, when you're going around there before the planter, that's going to still be full curb in that one little half circle, right? Yeah, up.
Yes.
Going towards the planter, the next curb.
This curve.
Yes, sir.
That would be the mountable.
Okay.
We would like somewhere right in here to here, so that it's kind of a catch-22. You want to make it so you can get up there with the right vehicles, and so we would have mountable curb sections so that your maintenance vehicles, the vendors,
Fire engine
can drive up there. But the way those curbs are, you can transition them back and forth to a straight curb. I mean, you can drive up a straight curb.
Sure you can.
You can pop up a curb. It's just not as easy.
I might have missed this, I was in the restroom. Where's the handicap accessibility to get, because that's important in that area?
Right there.
Yeah.
Well, you said a curb though.
We're talking about this curve around the roadway.
Just a curb.
Right.
Yeah.
But the entrance at the below where they'd have to, for the bathrooms on that end, that's what I'm saying.
Right here. It's that first parking spot. On this, see the white lines?
Well, and
That's far
as we
from the bathroom.
mentioned- Well, as we mentioned before, and this, without survey, topographic survey, and the full, like, we're not showing where all the ramps.
Okay.
And we'd have to build in ramps.
Right, because there'd need to be a ramp on the other side there. Yeah,
Over here.
right, which is closer to the bathroom.
Yes.
That's probably what's right there.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
out of
it's
the
not
picture.
shown.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I gotta just say, awesome job, for sure.
well, it's been as I started the whole conversation, I mean, it's been a journey. We worked together, I think. We're hoping, the goal was tonight to say yes. I mean, I think the only really thing to go back is we'll show you, I can just email over a little concept of what that area by the golf carts, but what we'd like to do from here, get the grant on Monday,
Without a doubt.
and just package this all up into a small document that you can hold on to. And If the RTA grant doesn't pan out, then we come back and just talk about some other funding opportunities. You can apply directly for the Raise Now Build grant. That's another option to apply for that. That is a much more in-depth application. We've done those as well. It has a similar limit. You can get up to about 2 million for the engineering planning side. But those applications require, it's with benefit cost analysis. So we would bring in an economic person to work with us. We could do it. It would work out, but it would not be within the current scope and not be inexpensive. But so that's the fallback if the RTA doesn't work out. The other one is the TAP program, Transportation Alternative Program with VDOT. That has a similar, again, but that the downfall of those, they have the 20% match. So the beauty of the raise is there's no match. But again, if that doesn't pan out, then we would look at, and in our final document, we'll list all these grant opportunities. I think we showed them on a previous PowerPoint, but the transportation alternatives, another one is called Safe Routes for All. It's really looking at mobility improvements. So this project can fall under that. Not all the elements of this project can fall under that, but that's another program that's out there. So there's other alternatives, but we're hopeful the RTA will be the ticket.
You had previously said, take my word for it, that you would be able to make some recommendations, given the fact that this is all down the road stuff for us, and we have like very immediate, like 6 weeks from now, challenges with trying to keep the sand on the beach, that you might be able to just make some suggestions about where we could erect some fencing strategically, so that, so many people don't understand, that just don't spend much time here other than when it's beautiful, what it's going to look like in 6 to 8 weeks from now when that wind starts to kick up and starts to just funnel sand blocks down off the beach. And I've always felt like, not being an engineer, that I could figure out a way to say, hey, if we put fence there and there, you could still get to the beach if you wanted to and take a walk in November, but we would minimize the amount of beach and sand that we're losing on an annual basis and try to at least manage it in the short term.
Yeah, I didn't bring, I don't think I have it in here, the real science heavy dune board, But part of our scope of work was to analyze the dune and give you maintenance recommendations plan. And so that is part of our final deliverable here. Will be to address some recommendations moving forward.
Awesome.
Some of it is the vegetation removal, some of the invasives that are up there. That doesn't help on your sand movement, but it does help on some of your permitting and making sure. The biggest thing, some of it, we've analyzed the dune, the particle size, and the coastal engineers looked at this and made some recommendations that will roll into it. But one concern that the caveat we've always said with the dune is, if the wrong species has made habitat in those dunes, then modifying those dunes become much more challenging. So keeping them clean is to your benefit. So that, if you were successful in the RTA grant, it would that environmental part of it would include a full survey by our environmental scientists to look at the species that are there, but not just plants, but potential animals and creatures that have inhabited those dunes.
Take some walks right out there before they get.
Am I wrong? I thought that there was some conversation though at some point about the fact, like, unlike the Bay Creek beach, that because it's man-made.
It is man-made, so we can alter it.
So it's
But
Cave
you-
Creeks is man-made too.
But even though it's man-made, if habitat is formed, that's your challenge. I mean, we have not seen it yet, but we have not dove all through every inch. I have walked up on your dune and taken pictures, but I'm not an environmental.
Did you not see the signs that say keep off the dunes?
Actually, you probably did. They're buried under the dunes.
I thought of that, but then I said, well, some people really want these dunes to go away, so let me kick some sand while I'm walking up them. But no, I did not disturb any vegetation as I was walking up to take pictures.
Well, we've disturbed plenty of
It's
it.
part of the NEPA process.
Yeah.
You have to go through a TENS survey, and it's very complicated. And, you know, we gotta get those trees out of the dunes now, because if the eagle starts habitat in there, you're dead in the water.
Well, I tried last year, and we did a very good job getting rid of the trees. So we will do it again. I have plenty of volunteers.
You gotta do that.
So, I might be ahead of myself a little bit, but I know the next step is obviously the grant application part. But where do, you know, we've seen these tonight, but the public hasn't been able to look at them closely and see them. What's our next, how are we going to progress as far as citizen engagement and the next reactions to the next steps?
Is that for me? Or
That's for you.
No, that's a critical
Well,
next step.
It's really a council decision at this point. We feel like what the comments we got back and the surveys that we got back were, and we felt like we addressed the comments. We feel comfortable that you could start to wrap up this phase, knowing that you're going to have a lot more in a final design phase, a lot more. But it's up to the council how much more you want to leave open. You've got to draw a line at some point to finish this phase, knowing that this is only a phase that won't build anything.
You know, at a very minimum, normally our public meetings, our documents are in advance for people to review and see, and understand tonight that it was so that you could explain in a work session to work through them. So in a very basic level, the public needs to understand what we understood tonight without, I mean, I recall very well sitting out there without a handout in front of me and going, you know, what does that mean? And I think we owe that to the public, and I don't know how that happens. I'm throwing it out to
And I
everybody.
think you're absolutely right that it's not going to go any further, but I don't think we can miss this opportunity.
Right.
As far as the grant goes.
Oh,
And
no,
if we do
yeah.
get that grant, then we have
Yeah.
plenty of time,
Yeah.
just like Ricky was saying, we have 18 months before it's going any further. So we have 18 meetings that we literally could have.
Well, and that's.
And the
that's
one
the
thing
whole-
about the grant is you're not submitting a plan with it.
Right.
It's all just text.
Yes.
And not a lot of text.
Right.
It's 500 words to describe.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about that slowing it down,
So
yeah.
this is the reason why I made that point at the very beginning about if we can get these
I'm on it.
in a PDF so we can get them published and making the comment, we go through these meetings and talk, hey, it's a great idea, but, you know, we're gonna get feedback for this. And of course, you know, the trees are kind of new, so that's one of those things, I guarantee you're gonna get feedback from people that are there. So it's a good thing at least to get it out there, we're talking about it, but we got way more to go.
It might be nice to have some copies printed so people can pick them up. Because, I'm sorry, but when you're looking at it on a computer, even this is hard. I keep wanting to stretch
Can I
it
just
bigger.
ask the question though, what's our plan if we don't get the grant? I mean,
We got other options. If we don't
And we
get
have to go
that,
for the other
there's other grants to go after.
You have to choose which other grant you're going to go with.
They're just going to be more expensive and more time consuming.
so, I mean, especially since we're gonna know about this grant pretty quickly, maybe we just put this a little bit into a holding pattern until we know that. I mean, I don't know how much we wanna, I'm all for get it out there and show people, but if we don't get this grant, we're kind of taking a couple steps back in this process. process, right?
Yeah, but we still gotta get these documents out so we
I-
can.
Yes,
It's because of the meeting.
absolutely.
Just because we had this meeting tonight, I think we should have them out, but not necessarily
Absolutely,
a
but I don't
follow-up.
think we have to do I mean, certainly feedback is.
See, I'm gonna go on the other way of that though, from what you're saying is, because if we do have to go for another grant and it's gonna be 6 months down the road, I'd love to have all this finalized so that when we do get that final grant, the community at large and everybody else has now agreed on what we're gonna do and we can actually move forward and go. If we wait another 6 months and then we finally get the grant and then we finally put everything out, then they're waiting another year down the road before we even put a shovel in the ground.
I agree with that train of thought. I just get concerned that we're go, 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 and if the grant doesn't come to fruition, then we've, sort of lit a fire under everyone for it to go nowhere for a while.
It'll be the first time, what was it, 2008 when we did the,
Yeah.
yeah, we had this in 2007.
That may be the case
8.
that it's the nature of it and it's happened before, but it doesn't mean it's any less frustrating. And no, we shouldn't be willfully then saying it's just money and we just keep spending more money.
Well,
I don't know that I
I
agree
think
with
we
that
include,
philosophy.
with this, we include the grant plan as far as, explaining that the first,
That would be a great
right,
idea.
the first step is
Securing
this,
grant.
yeah, and then if this one doesn't work, we find out this in November or whatever. If that doesn't work, then,
Because
then,
that's a very
then,
big question
yeah.
in the community is how are we gonna pay for this? So we're
And
not,
us getting this finalized with what we actually want isn't really putting out a lot of money. This is still just talking to the community and us putting it together. We're not putting out any engineering money or anything else. This is just really finding out what everybody wants and what our final plan is gonna be. As far as that goes, because we're not spending money at that point.
I don't think anybody's really suggesting that we do much more at this point, other than just share
Share
with the
that.
public
Sure.
what we've gotten and.
but share also
The
the
grant
grant
timeline.
Yeah.
process, the timeline would be key.
Yeah, the
So-
messaging is critical in this going out, and what that means doesn't mean we're starting,
Today, tomorrow.
No. Well, that's not-
Well, would it be worth at our next regular meeting to have a staff report that talks about the funding with these as attachments? This way,
Yep,
public has it available and during public comments,
perfect.
they're
Yeah, because then it takes what we did at the work session, which people were able to view online, but also to the follow-up, the next steps. I like that, Paul.
But Ricky, how soon do you need from us? This is a basic, we want to see,
I mean, for us, we got a list of what we can do. We want to do I think I want to go back and show you something with those little bump outs. But we're fine letting y'all digest this. We're going to do the grant and we prepare. I can send you the deadline for the other grants. I know the raise grant is January. So if you want to do the straight raise grant, you would need to start on that application that's at least a 2-month exercise to mostly like I said, that's more in-depth application. But that's something I can summarize into a memo for y'all to have. The transportation alternative, the VDOT, I have to look at the next application. Those are typically September, so we're not gonna apply for this September. So that TAP one would be next September.
I think they're on 2 years, I think they're on a 2-year cycle.
They are on 2 years, so thank you for reminding me of that.
Did they do it this September?
No, it's actually, we're actually on the off year right now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So, and I'll be at their conference in 2 weeks. They do a conference called locally administered LAP conference for localities, consultants. We all get to go together and talk about that program and learn how it's changing. So that's an option, but I know that one's, so thank you, next September. The raise grant is January.
Any of those applications would fall under the current extension of our contract with you, right?
Yes.
Okay. So not additional fees for these additional grant applications?
I'm sorry?
No additional fees for any of those additional grant applications?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, no, it was not included, the grant, those aren't included. So our scope was to identify, I don't get into all contract specifics, but no, some of the, like the RTA grant was a low effort. We did not, that was a low effort to do it once, we're doing it twice.
What was that, like $5,200?
Yeah, like $5,000, for that one. Pretty good return on your investment. If you get now, if you get 2.5, like whatever you're gonna get, but.
But I'm sure the raise is much more than, that's a lot of work.
The raise is a very in-depth application. And sometimes it's not just us. Well, raise would not be just us. We would have to hire a economic benefit, economic consultant to work with us to go through that. We feed them data, but, so that one is, like I said, the RTA is your best bet.
Right.
But again, the
No
raise
pressure.
grants
No pressure.
are very popular right now. But you're competing against, there's no, I mean, like, we're doing one for Albemarle County, we're doing one for Harrisonburg right now, we're doing one in Alexandria, Eastern Shore's got one. I mean, the raise grants are popping up all across the country. But you're competing against full cities and for those grants.
A lot of the deep bench
Yeah. So that's where they do have the funds to shell out
for AI.
for AI and for consultants to write their entire grants.
So then really this current one is pretty important.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Probably our best shot.
It's your best shot of getting it built first, fastest. But if you recall, we talked about, Yorktown was a case study that we showed the committee. That was built in 5 phases, and they piled together different funding sources. We're actually presenting at a conference next spring to a bunch of localities about how you can compile like creative funding, and that's something we did. Like Town of Duck, it was like 5 different applications, and when it ended up, we got $4 million for them, and they didn't have to pay anything, but it took separate funding applications. Tappahannock's another one where that project up there, we started with a grant for them to buy the property, and another grant to do the shoreline, and another grant to do the road. So you can get burn out on grants though, because they do take time. So we keep saying that it's a no-brainer that the RTA is, especially now that they've modified it, is really the catalytic, just be a blessing. So.
And I've got this, Rick, I would put the grant copy as part of the staff report that is presented at the next council meeting for information only, and attach the beachfront master plan. People can see what the grant is, can see what it is, and if they have public comments, they're welcome to offer.
I did find the survey. We didn't ask about trees specifically, but I think what it was, all of the written comments. If I did a word search for trees in here, I think we did receive a number of comments on trees, but it is interesting. Shade was one of the main things. We immediately started talking about shade structures, but again, trees do provide that shade as well, and they are cheaper than shade structures.
Did you go down to the harbor at all, see what we put down there? We have some shade structures down there in front of the bathroom.
Okay.
Just so you can see it, because they're only about that thick, so they don't take up view at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can provide the shade. You can do the fabric shades. I mean, it's just poles with the fabric.
Well, that's not happening.
And when you mentioned earlier about like having some more restraint on your vendors, I would not let them put all those flags up everywhere. That's just my personal opinion. But
We do have a sign ordinance. Be interesting to see if they meet our sign one.
It is, so we haven't revisited this a lot, but this was the community survey where we get over 300 responses, and we all knew restrooms was number one, outdoor showers number two, and then shade was number three. And then shade, I'm sorry, ADA access was number three, and then shade was number 4 by one vote.
I have one more question that is, going to be met with gasps, I'm sure, but if we did get the grant, what happens if there's a public outcry that says we don't want to do this anymore? Can we say thanks but no thanks and give it back?
I mean, give it back, well, I don't know.
Or not
Some of your
accept it, I
neighbors,
guess.
some of your neighbors might be mad, and I don't know if they'd give it to the next one, but, anytime, and one of the questions is, what is your success with grant funding? As a town, and so y'all have done grant fundings, you did a big grant for the marina, you did the sidewalk project, so you currently you have a good track record with grants. So if you were to get this grant and then give it back or not complete it, then the next time you go for a grant funding application, you would have to then say, I mean, this is kind of like your credit report, you know, and it's
Yeah.
not trying to be flippant about it or joking at all, but they do, that is something they look at, is your success
Sure.
on.
It's like when we got the DHCD grant for business recovery, if we hadn't allocated that money and wanted to give it back, which a lot of communities did, we ended up getting that money from those other communities because they gave it back. And we got, our ranking as far as grant futures was good because of that.
Yeah.
Yes. Not hearing you?
Rick, you've been quiet over there tonight.
Well, there's a ton of pressure right now. That's on my.
Go, your keyboard fingers,
Yeah,
rest them off this
I'm
weekend.
practicing.
and,
I'm
yeah.
practicing.
Yeah.
So Ricky and I are going to have a phone conversation before, and he's going to be on speakerphone, or so that we can. I mean, there's going to be some safeguards in here. So, but then again, we're gonna do our best. I'm going to be practicing.
There you
We've already done a lot of the work.
Control V, Control C.
That's it.
So we have done a lot of work. I mean, this
Control A
is.
first, select all.
We know the questions. We've already got the answers, and it's literally gonna cut and paste. So we got that going.
All right, so now there anything else? Can I get a motion for the vote?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.